Hello and welcome. I want to share with you a little something from Samuel Putnam's 400 Years of Free Thought. And he describes free thought as continuously inquiring, questioning, and denying. Free thought abhors faith and the submissive mind. And he tells us that Aristotle tells us that doubt is the beginning of wisdom. Hence, free thought doubts until it investigates. All truth must be investigated. If you just accept it without challenging it, without investigating it, then you may be doing a disservice to yourself. So let's get on with this a little bit. And he tells us that all the millions of human beings massed together cannot make an existence superior in kind to individual existence. And it often happens that one man, one person is wiser than all the rest of the world put together. Think of that. All the millions of human beings massed together. And, there are some of the teachings that humanity should come together as a whole. And the idea with that suggestion is that humanity coming together as a whole may be less than those individuals bringing together small groups. The unity of humanity may be stronger in strength and mass, which it is. It is. But as an intelligent creature, it fails. And consider this. Technology outstrips the human mind. Technology outstrips human comprehension. Our technology is so far in advance that our ethics, our personal ethics, can't keep up. If it were so, then social media would be used in a manner that is not divisive or used in a manner that is not stroking the ego. I have all of these wonderful thoughts and ideas that come to mind that I want to share because I have learned through experience that if I'm thinking the same thing, if I'm asking a question, if I am contemplating something, I know that with the population density the way it is, there are at least 10 people who are coming up with exactly the same thing I am coming up with. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is look at the history books. The pyramids, for instance, appear on several different continents, hundreds of years apart, but those cultures where these pyramids exist never intermingled, according to history. And history is only that which is written, and history is only that which those in power are desirous of expressing. So, just based on that, one idea here will show up someplace else, will show up someplace else, will show up someplace else. If you look at history, a lot of the inventions as we grew in population density across the globe, a lot of ideas started popping up different parts of the globe, very close together. So if one person, if you have this wonderful idea, there are at least 10 other people who are having that same wonderful idea virtually at the same time. So the unity of humanity may be stronger in strength and mass, but as an intelligent creature, it fails. Why does it fail? There are far too many individuals who would prefer that the whole of humanity be their footstool. And this is preferred in many of the religious teachings as well. Humanity is the footstool of God. Now, consider this. What purpose does a footstool serve? Well, you scrape the muck off your boots on a footstool. You rest your smelly feet on a footstool. All that is farthest away rests on a footstool. And this is humanity as a whole being the footstool. This is where you might say the worst is scraped off and scattered amongst us. However, the individuals that would comprise humanity are often far wiser and more nurturing than the majority of humanity. Now, you may know this as loving, but loving is nurturing. To love is to nurture. You can describe love all that you want, but my experience has shown me that to demonstrate love is a nurturing process. Therefore, there are individuals within humanity that comprise humanity that are far wiser than humanity itself and far more nurturing than humanity itself. Thus, the individual is far more important than the total sum. You are far more important than all of humanity brought together because you are more likely to be wiser and more nurturing than everybody else. Of course, this is only theory. And theories amount to educated guesses until you put the theory in action. And then the theory moves from an educated guess to a hypothesis to be tested. So don't take what I say as being correct, because it may not be. But the individual is far more important than the total sum, which is a contradiction, because what is best for the individual is often not what is best for the community. However, typically, what is good for the community is good for the individual. A bit of a conundrum there. A single individual does not change the course of humanity. We like to say that, but a single individual does not change the course of humanity. A single individual initiates that change, but the change itself occurs through a movement. Jesus, Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad, they initiated change through a movement. They initiated change in a handful of people, who then initiated change in a larger group of people, and so on. However, there is often a flaw to this process. Through the support of others, an individual does not change the whole, because through the support of others, what was initiated by the individual becomes corrupted and is no longer recognizable to the individual. This is what has transformed many of the teachings of our so-called masters, because we do not know what those teachings actually were. And often we are grateful to adopt whatever corrupted version fits us. And that's what we do. We cherry pick all of these different teachings and bring them together in us. This is what makes religion itself useless. Now, religion is all based on doctrines, and the doctrines become useless because the doctrines become written in stone, and people do not want to waver from them. They stick to them. And those free thinkers are more likely to call all of these different doctrines and everything and cherry pick the best pieces of them. And if they've done their work properly, they will have discovered that they all have the same message, essentially. And that is to nurture your fellow beings. Nurture your fellow beings. So the individual influences the whole of humanity, but the individual does not change the whole of humanity. It is a mass movement. It is the supporters that change humanity. And let's consider something else with this. Rights. People are very big on rights. I have rights. I demand my rights. You have no rights. If you have no rights, you have no duties, and people refuse to perform any duties. It's very interesting. We're all self-serving. Let's just get that out of the way. We are self-serving people. We are also social people. So we are self-serving with others. Even when we are nice and nurturing, we are still self-serving, because when you nurture others, others will nurture you. If you want to be loved, you must love others before they can love you. So we are self-serving, and therefore we have no rights. There are no rights given to us, except for those rights that are provided by those in power. The only rights we have are those rights that we declare for ourselves. And then they're not called rights, they're called ethics. If we claim the rights of law, which is, those rights that are given to us, if you're in the United States, you have these rights that are laid out in the Constitution. You have these rights that are laid out in the amendments. You have these rights that are laid out in policies, and those people in power that establish those laws and everything, when the law is no longer there, when the policy is no longer there, those rights are no longer there either. The rights we hold are twofold. We possess the rights appointed to us by those in power, and we have the rights that we have declared for ourselves. Only one has legal footing and is truly of no value. Those legal rights that we have, they have no real value. They have no real value because we only invoke those rights when we feel violated. I'm disabled. Those who are disabled have certain rights. And the only time they invoke those rights is when somebody does something wrong to them. The policies related to diversity are gone. So I cannot apply for a job and then turn around and sue them and say that they did not hire me because of my disability, because those policies that gave me that right are no longer there. See, the rights that are given to you under the law can be taken away just as easily. However, those rights that you declare for yourself, they have their own peculiar set of consequences with them. Someone knocks you about because you're what? Transgender, a different color, view religion differently, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. But if you stand up and say you have that right, you claim that right, you declare that right, then that right has a consequence. And the only reason it has a consequence is because it is valuable to you. Most of the population that I have seen have no comprehension of personal rights or personal ethics or whatever. They are, well, they have no rights, they have no duties, they have no responsibility towards others. That's what a lot of that stuff has to do. Duty in its relationship to rights is to others. The duties associated with the rights are of a twofold nature. On the one hand, they are meaningless and utterly worthless, and on the other hand, they are of great value. And the only ones that are of great value are the ones that you find to be of value and express. Equality. That's not a right. That's something you have to demand. And when you make those demands, you have those consequences. This is all just a little something for you to contemplate, to think about. I want to thank you for stopping by. I hope this was of some value to you.